What's up, everyone? On today's podcast, I had the chance to talk to Matt Baden of First Home Mortgage, and I got to say, it was a great conversation. I really enjoyed all of it, but make sure you pay attention to the middle part where he talks about a renovation loan. It's going to change the way you think about some of those outdated homes that are on the market right now. All right, what's up, everybody? This is Rob Schou here with Living in Southern Maryland. Today, I got a great guest on with us. It's Matt Baden, a loan officer for First Home Mortgage. Matt, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me, Rob. I'm super excited to be here, and hopefully we can share some good intel on, real estate and financing homes in our local area.
Matt, that's going to be awesome. And what I want to talk about first, though, of course, is I know you from, the fishing world, but also a St. Mary's College alumni. Shout out to, St. Mary's College, the Seahawks down there. But the audience probably doesn't know you too well. So give us a little backstory. I know you worked in the medical field before you got into the mortgage field, so give us a little background on who you are and what Matt Baden is all about.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob. So, I'm a retired registered nurse, I like to say. I spent about 10 years in healthcare after college at St. Mary's and worked throughout the Maryland region at different hospitals as a registered nurse in the operating room. So I was trained in trauma, high acuity surgery. I've done just about every type of operation you could think of. I've seen it or been a part of it. And, that kind of led me into more of a charge nurse, managerial type role in the hospital. And as I kind of kept working my way up the totem pole, I realized that it just wasn't what I saw myself doing for the next 20, 25 years of my career. And found my way into the mortgage business through my now boss, Tim Sisson here. We grew up together playing baseball in Calvert County in Southern Maryland. And he said, come in and talk to me and talk to Gary Pierpont, who is another loan officer in our office. And, kind of said, I think you'll be good at this. Give it a shot. And I'll teach you everything, I know. And, before you know it, you'll be on your own doing your own thing. And that's kind of how it worked out. I worked as his assistant for my first year, 2020, beginning of COVID. Business was booming, flying. In my first year as an assistant, we did, 200 some transactions that, a seasoned some seasoned loan officers don't do in, 5 years. So we got lots of experience and we got it quick. And then from there, I kind of jumped onto out on my own, doing my own business, working with my realtor partners and helping people buy homes since the July 1st of 2021. So technically I'm in now my third year as a solo loan officer, and it's been fun. It's really exciting. I really lean on a lot of my previous career experiences as in healthcare to know how to interact with people, know how to listen to what they want and need, and focus that experience of buying a home on them as the home buyer, or comparatively to like a patient. I'm here to hold your hand throughout the process. As a nurse, I was really good at hand holding, so I can do that as a loan officer too. So it's fun. It's really exciting. As a nurse, I was with people by their side through some of the most difficult times of their lives, surgery for cancer or whatever it might be. And not many people really wanted to, necessarily be there or interact with me. And it was life or par for the course that went for them. But most of the time people are happy. They want to buy a house. So it's exciting. It's fun. I really enjoy working with first-time home buyers. We do a lot of business with military families moving to the area or PCSing here. And, it's exciting. It really is so cool. Some of these stories have been so touching, helping people, buy their first home. Been working with them for 2 years, and they are able to buy their home after working on building their credit. It's rewarding. It really is. Nursing was rewarding too, but this is exciting when people get to choose to work with me and are happy about the process from start to finish.
Yeah. And no, 100% right. And I figured you were going to say that your nursing background really influenced how you go about the mortgage space. Like I know a lot of people when they're buying a home are kind of afraid of mortgage officers, loan officers, just because of the numbers that are involved, the, digging into personal finances and stuff like that. And it's intimidating. And so having someone like you that is been in some intimate situations with people and been in some situations that they did not want to be in, like you said, and having that tact and being able to walk them through that, your clients are lucky to have you. And then doing this all through a time when 2020 to 2023 to now, the amount of loan volume you probably did is what, like you said, what someone did in 5 to 10 years previously, because you guys were flying for a while there. It was amazing how many refinances and just purchases too you guys were doing.
Yeah, it definitely cut down the learning curve. It was a sink or swim moment, which I personally like or kind of thrive in. And it was, I think I was in my maybe less than a month in the business as Tim's assistant. And Tim was like, I'm going on vacation. I'll be back in a week. I think you got this. And I'm like, you sure? He's like, yeah, you'll be fine. I'm like, all right, I guess I just got to figure this out and make it work. And, you never know all the right answers, but as long as you know where to get the right answer, you'll never be in a bad situation. You just be honest with people,
Yep.
Hey, I don't know that, but I'm going to find out and I'll get right back to you. It builds trust. It builds rapport, and they respect you for being honest and then coming back to them and reliability. But hey, he got me that answer. He told me he was going to have it to me by 6 o'clock and he got it to me by 5 o'clock.
Yep.
It's always a nice little icing on the cake.
It is. And that's what people are looking for right now. You get bombarded with a lot of stuff, whether it be the news or whether it be, just everything you see on social media of what the housing market is and what this and that is looking like right now. It's a breath of fresh air to have someone not in a salesy position and more just in a I want to help you. I want to be honest and I want to put the most information in front of you as I can. And I know that's how you approach a lot of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, in the big picture, there's a lot of mortgage companies out there. There's online, big national lenders. There's local lenders. There's banks. At the end of the day, most of the time, the interest rate, people are going to be able to offer you pretty much the same thing. It's the service. It's the personal touch. It's the education. You being in education, that really is important too. Making sure that, that first time home buyer, even though they don't know what they're doing this time, if you help them and hold their hand and educate them along the way, the next time they're going to be, an even stronger buyer because they're going to have an idea of what to do and how things work. So we play that role too.
And so then being local too, like we've dealt with, all the big national banks and of course Navy Federal and USAA, but being local has an advantage too. And one of the biggest advantages, I'm just one realtor, so I just see, a certain amount of transactions in a year, but you see multiple realtors transactions throughout the year and you see the housing market from a different perspective than definitely I do and just another single realtor would. What is going on right now and specifically in those price ranges where I'm seeing a lot of activities at 350 to 500 in St. Mary's, maybe a little higher in Calvert, but what are you seeing going on right now in those, I guess, most desirable price ranges?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely the key price ranges for those two counties specifically. The target locations that people want to live, the neighborhoods, the parts of the county, is kind of it ballpark those ranges. A lot of PCS military families moving to the area, whether they end up in St. Mary's or Calvert, for Pax River or Andrews Air Force Base. Their incomes are pretty much consistent. So that's kind of the price range where they're qualifying, where they feel comfortable because their BAH kind of covers that monthly payment. So it's competitive. I mean, it really is. And we want to help people, find at the end of the day what they're going to be comfortable. What is your comfortable monthly payment? And then go from there to make sure that they're going to be happy making that monthly payment every month. But yeah, it's competitive, but I think thinking in a bigger scale, big picture, we're lucky here in Southern Maryland in comparison to some other markets. Anne Arundel County, Silver Spring area of Montgomery County and DC. I mean, some of these markets are just insane. They're seeing 20 offers on every house. Prices escalating $100,000 over asking price. We're not seeing that. We're seeing competition. Don't get me wrong, but our buyers down here in Southern Maryland don't quite have to stack up as in some of those areas where it's even tougher to find a home. So we're fortunate. Yeah.
And I'm seeing the exact same thing. I think that's a really good point. And I don't know Silver Spring and Montgomery County area, that market as well. And to hear that there's houses still going for, 20 offers and stuff like that, that's crazy. Like we've had a few competitions, down here where we get 2 or 3 offers on a house in St. Mary's. But that's absolutely wild. So someone like looking at Andrews, if they're thinking of, going north of Andrews and going into that capital region area compared to going south, they're going to have more competition, higher prices going into that capital region most times. Is that kind of what you're seeing?
Yeah, they're definitely paying more for the property. I think you can get a little bit more bang for your buck here in maybe Charles County, parts of PG and Calvert, maybe lower Anne Arundel County if for that Andrews region. Like you said, there's competition everywhere. That's just the nature of the beast. We have low inventory, but I've been a part of some deals in Silver Spring, Laurel, Northern Anne Arundel, like Annapolis, Glen Burnie areas, and I've been told there's 20 plus offers on properties. It's just crazy, and people are willing to pay it, and even if it doesn't appraise, they're figuring out a way to make it work. And so I think there's a little bit more room in this Southern Maryland market, and I think for especially our military clients that are coming here for work, depending on how long they plan to be here and how quickly they're coming, you don't have 6 months to make 10 to 20 offers on properties. We got to find you a house so your family has somewhere to live. Mm-hmm. And live somewhere safe, comfortable for that time period that you're here. It might not be the house that you're going to live in for the rest of your lives. So we just have to help you, find something where you're going to be happy, where you're going to be safe, you're going to be comfortable, good schools, good neighborhood, place to raise your kids, and be within reason of, reasonable commute to work.
So the crazy thing, I have 2 people that recently bought in Myrtle, the Myrtle Point woods at Myrtle Point, right there in California, Maryland. And they are commuting all the way to Andrews Air Force Base.
Wow.
Because they could get so much more house for their money, and the school system around that area, Evergreen Elementary School and Esperanza Middle and Leonardtown High, they're solidly rated schools. And so they've chosen, and it's one person commuting, the rest are staying, in St. Mary's. But they've chosen to do that, make the drive an hour and 15-minute drive every day because it was that much. There just wasn't enough inventory north that they could afford that they came down here to St. Mary's. So, and even those 2, like there was other offers on it. So there was, both of those were multiple offer situations, multiple. I think there was 2 other offers on the table for each one, not 20. And we ended up paying over asking price for each one, or they did. And I didn't pay anything, of course. We ended up making offers at over asking price for each one. But it's a wild thing. And I think for me, inventory starts to alleviate this issue that we have of too many of prices keep going and too many offers on a house. I think that ultra competitiveness, but the problem is inventory won't come on the market until people feel comfortable with with moving and being able to find a place. And it's just this kind of catch-22 of, we can't get more inventory because people don't want to sell, and we can't get buyers to buy houses because, people don't want to sell.
Yeah. So it's definitely a interesting scenario. So first off, inventory is never improved with just the average home buyer selling a house. That home buyer is then buying another house. So inventory is always a wash. The only way we're getting true new inventory is with new construction. Mm-hmm. And especially in Southern Maryland, we don't have much new construction. There's new construction numbers are down nationwide. So that's where we truly get increased inventory. But yes, there's less homes being sold and less people moving in general because the average homeowner has a 2 or 3% interest rate. and they are deciding that even if they need the bigger home or need to move to be closer back to work because they're not working from home anymore, or whatever the reason might be, they're holding on as long as they can. And trying to make it work for just a little bit longer before they have to sell. And once they do, they will, but then they'll be buying the next home again. And
Right.
again, that inventory is just a wash. It's an even trade.
All right, so I got something for you here. So what about this? So what I've noticed, there's a lot of houses, especially in that kind of Chesapeake Beach, North Beach, and even in St. Mary's County too, that just need some updating. And like you said, it might not be, and it might not be those people that are PCSing that aren't here for a whole long time, but there's other local buyers that are looking to, first time home buyers or stuff like that. Are there options out there for them to do some renovations on a house that maybe needs some of that renovations? Like, is there a loan product that can help them kind of get that money or get their foot in the door to make that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So we saw some data recently. Somebody put out a study, but the percentage of homes in America in general, but this, America covers Southern Maryland also, of homes that are originally built in either the 80s or 90s is the highest amount ever now. And these homes have not been touched. Now, some of them have been renovated, but the majority of them haven't. So these homes are the ones that come on the market. They, need some love. They haven't been renovated, so they're not selling, the first weekend on the market because they're just not as nice as the house down the street. So it takes a little bit more of a vision to kind of see what you want to do with it. But to avoid the competition route of this perfectly redone or nicer, newer model of home down the street that has 5 offers or 10 offers and they're paying over asking price, you take your house that's listed for a little bit less, and we do a renovation loan, can be FHA or conventional option. So as little as 3% down for first-time home buyers. And then you can finance in all the renovation costs. Anything permanent to the house. You can add a swimming pool. You can do all, just like amenity type things, new kitchen, paint, carpets, flooring, that type of thing. It doesn't have to be like a complete dump that you're fixing up. It can be a reasonably nice house that you just want to update to your preferences to make it the way that you want it. It's not like you have to use it on a house that needs a septic replaced. It could be a house that is move-in ready, but it has wallpaper you don't like, and you want it a certain way to make it your dream house. So it avoids, in a lot of cases, the competition, because not everybody is willing to take on the renovations. Granted, you're not doing it. You have a contractor that, you goes through the paperwork and does everything, and they complete the renovations for you after closing. But yeah, it's a great option, and there's so much availability for that in our Southern Maryland market because a lot of the people, the original homes here when people started moving away from the city were built in the 80s and 90s. That first real push outside from PG, DC, Montgomery County. My parents built their house in Calvert County and Sunderland in the 80s. All those neighborhoods that were originally built back then are all primed for renovations.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so that sounds like a great option, first of all, because you got to get creative when you have not as many options out there. And this seems like a creative option for it. So like the contractors you said, is that something that, being a local lender, are you able to put people in touch with different contractors that you've used in the past? Or is that something that normally goes on to the buying agent and the buyer themselves to kind of figure that out? Is there a process for it?
Yeah. So, we have lists of contractors that we've worked with before that have been through the process that, kind of know the renovation loan process. But at the end of the day, it's on the buyer and who they might feel comfortable working with, who they, you're going to get, generally 2 quotes at least on the job. and kind of go from there to see who's going to maybe give you the best deal, or who do who's gotten the best reviews kind of thing. But I think it's a team effort. When we go through this, you as the realtor, myself as a lender, we work together to help these clients. You have people that you've, done business with or might recommend. We kind of are the same way. We kind of, it's hard to steer them one way or another because you don't want something bad to go wrong and you were made that suggestion either.
Right.
So I say, hey, we've had great experiences with, these 3, 2, whatever it might be, contractors. They've done renovation loans with us before. They know the process. Give them a call, see how you feel or not. You got the client themselves has to mesh with that person that's selling them the product.
100%. Yeah. And I 100% agree with that. I think what I was getting at, and I think you answered it throughout there. What I was getting at was there's definitely a process for these loans, and finding a contractor that's familiar with it, I would think probably streamlines the process for the buyers as well. So understanding that there's, you don't want just the handyman off the side of the road. And I'm betting the mortgage industry, the mortgage will not let you do that. You probably want a licensed contractor that has some sort of familiarity with this process or is willing to learn about the process to get it done.
Yeah, and we're certainly okay if they've never done it before. We'll instruct them, provide all the documentations that they need to fill out, and provide detailed instructions. But definitely licensed and insured are the first keys. And biggest thing is responsive, because your loan process itself on a normal loan is anywhere from 21 to 30 days here in Southern Maryland for the most part. If we're going to try to close a renovation loan in 30 days to be on pace with a standard loan, there's a lot more documentation that goes along with the renovation loan. So we really want someone that's going to be responsive, that's going to be willing to take on that extra task of that documentation as well. And that's where, realtors being in communication and the team itself of you, myself, or whoever it might be, being in unison and working together to benefit that client.
And so you got to get that contractor on pretty early on in the process there.
Typically within the first 2 or 3 days of being under contract. Sometimes we've had the privilege to be able to have the contractor out to the house prior to submitting the offer, so we know what the renovation costs are likely to be. They can then submit the bids, because we can't submit the loan to processing without knowing how much the piece of the work bid is going to be to factor that into the loan amount.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So I think it'd be interesting too. So if someone's watching this and you want to learn more about these, of course, you're going to contact one of us, but definitely contact one of us to find out who these contractors are before you start that home buying process. So you can really pick their brain about, what that looks like. Are they going to be able to come out and start feeling out those different contractors if that's the route you want to go? Because it sounds like you're going to want to hit the ground running to be able to take advantage of it, because delays are never fun on the loan side of things. So the more in sync and the more of a team you can build as you start, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, I think being prepared and being proactive is always kind of my motto with buyers, especially new buyers. Being proactive in a sense of like knowing what you can qualify for, ahead of time, and not like I found a house and let's figure out if we can buy it, the next day kind of thing. So, of course we can always make that work too in most cases, but the best route is always kind of having your ducks in a row ahead of time, working with, the partners that are going to help hold your hand throughout the process and make sure it's going to be a successful, process of submitting an offer, getting that offer accepted. And here in our local market, I'm sure you see this all the time, Rob, like, the local connections, whether I've worked with that listing agent before or not, I guarantee you they've probably worked with somebody or are referral partners with somebody else from my company. Yep. So when we go and make an offer on a house, I can call that listing agent up and say, hey, I know you work with so-and-so in a Hollywood branch. Like, how's it going? Matt from First Home, we're super excited to have an opportunity to work with you. And, my clients they're rock solid. Like we've fully vetted them. We're ready to rock and roll and make this the smoothest real estate transaction you've ever experienced. And that communication, that availability is key in a, our market here in Southern Maryland is definitely a connection-based market. A lot of realtors know if it's a big bank or a big company, they're never going to hear from or talk to that person unless there's a problem. And we, again, going back to kind of being proactive, I start with the call, before the offer is even made. And we're going to communicate throughout the process every week with weekly updates and make sure everyone's just, in tune with what's going on to just make it easy. At the end of the day, all of us want is our jobs to just be easy.
Yep.
And and then from there, help our clients either buy a house or sell a house.
Yep.
And everybody's happy. That's all everybody ever wants.
And you're 100% right. I think every single person wants the best customer service, but they also want timely customer service, and they want to feel like it's one of the most stressful transactions there are. We've done a lot of transaction in real estate, and I'm betting you still get stressed near the end when deadlines are coming up, and we've done it a lot, and we know that there's ways to find solutions to things. We're comfortable with saying, I know this way to solve this problem, I know this way to solve that problem, and kind of can work through it. Someone that's a first-time home buyer or a second-time home buyer or even a third-time home buyer haven't seen all those transactions, and they can feel kind of left out there in the dark if you're not communicating with them and saying, I know that this seems bad or this seems difficult, but this is what we're going to do. And if that doesn't work, this is where we're going to go. And that's something that I've always been impressed with you when I've used you personally. And I think it's paramount to this market right now, where there is no easy button right now in this market. It's coming up with solutions like the construction loan or the renovation loan. It's understanding that there's going to be multiple offers and how to position yourself best to look like one of the best offers out there, whether it's pairing with a local lender or, just the different ways you can make that offer stand out. And that's really what matters. Yeah,
I think, taking every step you can to present your offer to be better than the next person's is key in a competitive market. And I don't think the competitive market's going away anytime soon. It's going to be this way, hopefully, to touch on interest rates, when interest rates get better, it's going to be even more competitive because there are people that have sat on the sidelines because they've shied away of the higher interest rates. So they're going to come back out and be buyers again. The people who are going to kind of benefit the most is the people that stayed within their budget currently and bought, but still felt comfortable buying. And when rates get better, they're going to refinance to a lower interest rate, to a lower monthly payment, and they still got the house they wanted. And ideally, they've had it for a year or two now and have the equity start up to be built up into that house already. And then when they want to sell it or buy the next one, they've got more equity on the line at that point. Because I think, traditionally, not even just first time home buyers, but the length of time in a house is only like 4.5, 5.5 years, something like that for, a mortgage per se, whether it's refinanced or sold and moved on. Nobody holds mortgage for 30 years. If you do, you either have a really, really low interest rate or you're not utilizing your equity in a way to capitalize and, use it for other things, in my opinion.
All right, Matt. Well, I appreciate all the great insight in there. I think it was really valuable for everyone listening, just because you're giving a perspective that not a lot of people get to be able to sit down with the loan officer and really get their ideas of how they can be competitive in this market, whether it's looking at, older homes that need that renovation, using the renovation loan, or just using that local lender that's going to help you stand out and help your offer stand out. So I really appreciate you coming on and helping the audience. What's the best way someone can get in touch with you if they're looking for, getting qualified for a home down here in Southern Maryland?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to hopefully doing this again soon, and again, continuing to share up-to-date kind of knowledge and expertise on our market, and just help more people buy homes. It's fun. There's nothing more exciting than handing over those keys or helping somebody purchase that house. So best way to get a hold of me is my cell phone number, 240-997-2414. You can text me, call me. I'm available all the time. If I don't answer, I'm probably putting my kid to bed or giving my kid a bath or something like that. But otherwise, I'll get right back to you. And that's we're a 24/7 business here. We're always available to help. We want to be accessible. And when you are ready to buy a house, typically you're seeing homes on weeknights, weekends. That's when we work too. We have to be available for you as a client, for you as a partner, to make deals happen and help people achieve their homeownership goals. You can start the pre-approval process at www.prequalifywithmatt.com, and you'll create an account there and fill out some basic questions, and then we can follow up and let you know what documents we might need based on your particular scenario, whether you're self-employed, W-2, salary, hourly employee. We'll dive into it head first and hold your hand throughout the way.
That's awesome. And you got to go check him out on Instagram too. And you got to see his closed pictures that he does, where you put yourself on the different steps sitting there. I definitely go and check him out. I'll put all that information of Matt's in the description. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Instagram or Facebook, it will be in the description there. If you're watching on the podcast, it will be in the show notes. Or if you're listening in the podcast, it will be in the show notes for you. But definitely check out his Instagram. I always get a chuckle when I see you cut out and put on the different steps or sitting in the different areas on those pictures. So
my wife likes to call it "Where's Waldo?"
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly what I thought of when I saw it. All right, Matt. Well, thanks for coming on. And like Matt kind of hit it at, he's going to be a monthly guest with us. So every month we're going to be talking about the housing market and about just the mortgage market and everything like that, and hopefully bring in some valuable information to all those listeners out there. So, all right, Matt, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, Rob. Really appreciate it. Hope everybody had a great 4th of July, and we'll see you soon.